Well, as news about the Gaza crossings emerged, leaders at the Arab League summit in Tunisia were making a new unified push for the creation of a Palestinian state. The summit took place against a backdrop of division, war and unrest across the region, with conflicts in Yemen, Syria and Libya also on the agenda. Tunisia's President, Beji Caid Essebsi, said Arab leaders must ensure the global community understands the importance of the Palestinian cause.
We reiterate our attitude that this Arab land is occupied land in Palestine. With the recognition of the international community, we need to consecrate the policy, and we are against the violation of the land. Therefore, we need to do everything we can to put an end to the occupation and reach peace and stability at regional and international levels.
Let's go to our correspondent Imran Khan. He's joining us live from Tunis. So Palestine, top of the agenda at the summit today on Sunday, Imran. We've already seen a draft communique. So what is the message?
Well, the message is that there won't be peace in the region without the issue of Palestine being solved. And it wasn't just said by all of the keynote speakers, it was reiterated throughout the entire Arab League summit. In fact, King Abdullah of Jordan, King Salman of Saudi Arabia, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of Egypt all mentioned crucially that it was Palestine that needed to be taken a very hard look at. And if that didn't happen, there was going to be real issues. But it was the Palestinian president who actually took things one step forward. He actually blamed the US for Palestine's current predicament. He said that the US was an obstacle to peace. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
What happened during the era of Trump has never been heard or seen during the eras prior to him. They might have been hiding the policies. Then came Trump with all impoliteness to announce this policy that is categorically against the international legitimacy since 1947. It is a coup against the international law and legitimacy. This American administration has put an end to its role as a mediator in the peace process. The U.S. is a biased mediator.
Strong words there from the Palestinian president, but that's not the end of the message coming out from the Arab League summit. They've also been going to issue a communique, a final communique, that'll involve Iran as well. There's very strong words to Iran saying that they need to stop meddling in the affairs of the Arab world. They need to remove their militias from Arab countries. Also, there will be a mention of Syria, a separate statement, actually, when it comes to the occupied Golan Heights. Now, that's unusual for the Arab Summit to issue a separate statement on something like this, but clearly it's something that they feel very strongly about. They're not going to change their language. They do not recognize the fact that the US has recognized the Golan Heights as being Israeli territory. They say it's still occupied territory.
Imran, thank you very much for that. For now, that's Imran Khan with more live in Tunis. Well, we are going to get more on this. We're joined by Al Jazeera senior political analyst Marwan Bishara. As Imran's been saying, Marwan, it is a very strong message on Palestine, but do you expect them to follow through beyond what we've heard today?
I don't, and for two simple reasons. One, we've heard similar language before about East Jerusalem from the last summit, about the U.S. recognition of Israel capital in Jerusalem. We've heard words like dangerous, like reckless, like violation of international law, but that was last year, this time. In fact, the first statement came out in December 2017. And aside from a non-binding resolution at the United Nations, there was no follow-up. The second reason is, it seems, as I understand it from the summit, that there has been disagreement behind the scenes about how to react to the upcoming American initiative, the so-called deal of the century. Some countries want to embrace it regardless of its negative implications for Palestine, and others want to reject it completely. So because they couldn't agree on how to approach the American initiative, they decided then just to reaffirm, restate previous statements on Palestine, the idea of two-state solution and so on and so forth. I mean, I could see some of the people there either falling asleep or just spacing out because they've heard these words before. Yeah. To be honest with you, if for every time I've heard that statement on Palestine, I had a penny, I would have been a millionaire by now.
And it's not just, unfortunately, disunity on the issue of Palestine and Israel, because as you mentioned, there are some countries that do want to support President Trump's so-called deal of the century, and there are countries within the Arab League who are moving closer to Israel, whether openly or covertly. There's also, disunity on some of the biggest issues that they wanted to discuss at this 30th summit on Syria, some countries wanting to readmit Syria into the Arab League. Even on Yemen, where the Saudis and the Emiratis are fighting the Houthis, but they're also supporting different groups in Yemen. Absolutely. And then there's Libya.
Absolutely. So in short, they don't agree on much. In short, despite the fact that the summit has been dubbed by the Tunisian president, the host, as the summit of solidarity and determination, solidarity is only symbolic and basically false, and determination is non-existent, it's only theoretical. So all in all, the Arab world is divided on a number of issues, on a number of axes. In fact, over some 70 plus years, the Arab world has never been as divided. The Arab League has not been as divided as it is today. It is very unfortunate that after 7 years of uprisings and upheavals and the demand by Arab citizenry for a true taking on of prosperity, democracy, freedom, and unity, that the Arab leaders are ever more attached only to their very narrow interests as regimes, to the survival of the regimes, rather than to the broader interest of the Arab people. And as you said, in Yemen, we see that the Saudis have ensured that no real Arab initiative is taken to resolve that issue. On Syria, total division, whether Syria gets in or does not get in to the Arab League. On the question of Palestine, only symbolic. And they all, by the way, all of them said Palestine is the #1 issue for the Arab world. Now, imagine this has been the #1 issue for 70 years.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a lot of Palestinians are saying, could we not be the #1 issue? Perhaps our question can be resolved.
Marwan, thank you as always for your analysis. We appreciate it. Thank you.